Hello, I'm Shayante, the sociologist, and today's video is going to be a virtual abstract on my very first published article titled Doing Black Christianity, Reframing Black Church Scholarship. This journal article is published in the Sociology Compass, which is a review journal. So this article required me to review all of the scholarly literature in sociology on the Black church, and then to make an argument about what's missing from that literature. So once I read through all of the literature that I could get my hands on in regards to the Black church, I found that most of that research frames the Black church in two ways. The first frame used is the institutional frame, which means is that it focuses on the actual institution of the Black church, or in this case, kind of like the building of the Black church, and the ways that our interactions with each other were governed within the context of the church building. This literature had three major patterns. So first, scholars argued that the institutional Black church was one of the first forms of Black independence, and also the Black church served as a safe space, a space of refuge. So I thought that was really fascinating. The second pattern was that the Black church serves as a cultural incubator, and through that institutional Black church, many other institutions within the Black community and cultural artifacts within the Black community were born. So for example, some HBCUs, their origins tie back to Black churches. As we know, a lot of musical traditions within the Black community link back to gospel traditions. And so those are just a few examples of the way that we see those connections. And then the third pattern that was discussed in the literature on the Black church as a social institution is this idea that it also served as a mobilization center. And so this idea that Blackness is politicized in the way that even though the church is an inherently religious organization and entity, within the confines of the church building, we still see politics in action. So those were the patterns that I found in the literature on the Black church as an institution. The second body, or the second frame that was often used in the research that I read through, was that the Black church perpetuated this Black Christian ideology. So in this case, it was like a racialized set of values and beliefs. And so there were three patterns that emerged in the scholarship that referred to Black Christianity as an ideology. The first was that there's a split between Black and white Christianity. While yes, they're both under this Christian umbrella, the way that the Christian faith operates in Black and white communities is inherently different. And I thought that research was really, really fascinating. The second pattern that emerged in regards to Black Christianity being an ideology was this worldly versus otherworldly perspectives, which is the idea that within certain communities and certain denominations, some Christians focus on works and efforts that will better this world, and other Christians and other denominations focus more so on the afterlife. So that was an ideological divide that was often talked about in the literature as well. And then finally, the third pattern is this idea of radical versus conservative Christianity. And again, that was a theological kind of distinction that was talked about a lot in the literature. And this idea that some denominations of Christians, Black Christians as well, adopt a conservative approach to politics, and others adopt a more radical approach and kind of see the life of Jesus Christ as beckoning us to be more radical in the way that we respond to inequality in society. And so after reviewing all of this literature and reading all of these articles and books, I realized that there hasn't been enough attention paid to the individual Black Christian actor. So I wanted to create a frame that would be able to analyze and interrogate their individual agency. So I draw on the concept of Doing Religion by Orit Avishai And I apply that to the Black Christian population to say, hey, if we only looked at the church, or if we only looked at Black Christianity and the beliefs affiliated with it, we would totally miss out on the ways that individuals negotiate and make sense of their faith in their day-to-day lives. And so that's when I present the individual frame. And I hope that others will use this frame to make sense of the ways that race and religion and politics intersect. To exemplify how this frame should be used, in my article, I provide an exemplar on Bree Newsome Bass. For those who are not familiar who Bree Newsome Bass is, she is most known for scaling the flagpole and pulling down the Confederate flag in Charleston, South Carolina, after domestic terrorist Dylan Roof shot and killed 9 Black Christians while attending Bible study. And so she was arrested for that, and as she was being arrested, she recited Bible verses. And in her interviews after that incident, she explained why she did that and why she incorporated and embedded her faith into that act of resistance. And I feel like that's a great example to show that, again, if we only focused on the church, we would miss out on how individuals are reconciling the tensions between their race and their religious beliefs. So this article, again, is available at Sociology Compass's website. If you do not have an institutional access, please email me at shayantethesociologist@gmail.com, and I'm happy to share a copy with you. I also published a teaching and learning guide on this article. So if you are a sociologist, a historian, a scholar of religious studies, any scholar who is teaching a class that might have a section on the Black church, definitely look into accessing my teaching and learning guide. Not only do I provide a sample syllabus with a list of important references and media examples of Black Christianity, I also provide discussion questions, and I even provide some activities for your students to do. So again, if you don't have institutional access to that, I am happy to share that with you. But yeah, that was my first article. I would love to know what you think about it. If you have any thoughts about my new framework, the identity frame, or if you think the institutional frame and the ideological frame are accurate, I would love for you to drop those thoughts in the comments. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. And if you're not, make sure to follow me on my other social media platforms as well. Bye.